Hi everyone, I'm Megan, and this is Beguiled by Books, where I share short reviews of books that I've read across a variety of genres. Today, I've got my November wrap up for you. Let's get started. November was a crazy, busy, unusual month. When we ended October with Halloween, a few days later was my hubby's birthday, followed by his father's birthday, followed by my father's birthday. And then we did an impromptu trip to Denver, Colorado, where we got to see a really great DJ at Red Rocks for a night, which was absolutely incredible. Spent a great weekend in Denver, fell in love with the city. And when we returned, we had a few days at home before we went to Asheville, North Carolina to do a Biltmore Christmas and support Asheville as they recover from the efforts of rebuilding after Hurricane Helene. It's been a wild and crazy month with travel, with running around, with family and social calendars. And today I am so excited to share that I have my November reading wrap up. There are only 4 books. Because I have been doing so many things, reading has actually taken a bit of a back seat, which I'm hoping to rectify going forward. But I've got 4 books for you, which I thoroughly enjoyed this month. I read Brainwash by David and Austin Perlmutter, a father-son duo, both of whom are doctors. And I really enjoyed this on the heels of some other health books that I've been reading about how sugar not only affects the body, but kind of hacks our brain into behaving in ways that are probably not as desirable as we want. It's about dopamine, it's about serotonin, it's about how all of those things are interacting in our bodies and our brains, and how sugar and kind of the ultra processed food that's so prevalent really affects all of that in our bodies. If you're really interested in health, or if you want to learn more about the inner workings of the human body to improve and optimize your body, I would absolutely recommend Brainwash. It was a really good book, very approachable, just perfect balance between neuroscientific and easily understandable for a layperson. So really enjoyed that, highly recommend. I really enjoyed the book How to Change Your Mind by Michael Pollan. I've had this book probably for 4 or 5 years now and finally got around to reading it. How to Change Your Mind is about the psychedelics that people take and improve their lives in guided and professional ways. So Michael Pollan really goes into detail about psilocybin, which is the compound in magic mushrooms, LSD, and then the compound that's found in Sonoran desert toads or something quite like that. I don't remember off the top of my head, but really interesting both natural and pharmacological compounds that have been created or exist in nature, and how they affect our brain chemistry and how they can help treat addiction and depression and people with terminal illnesses. And it was a really interesting book. Michael Pollan, who you may or may not know, is a very well renowned journalist who digs into things very deeply and it does a great job reporting on the facts and being very neutral in his approach, which I appreciate. There's very little bias in his work. But what I loved about this book was he went through the process of experiencing these psychotropic elements and talks about his own experience as well as the facts and the studies. So it was a really cool blend of his personal experience along with all the science that we have behind it and how that science was disrupted, during the 60s and 70s and 80s when things were banned and set as Schedule 1 substances. Fascinating book if you're interested in how the brain works and how these psychedelic compounds interact with the brain and the body. Definitely check out How to Change Your Mind. A book that I picked up from the library pretty unexpectedly is a book called Want. And this book was compiled by Gillian Anderson of X-Files and Sex Education fame. We all know and love Dr. Scully and Gillian Anderson. But she compiled a collection of anonymous essays written by women about their sexual fantasies. And I had seen a lot of buzz about this in social media back in the spring when the book came out and as it was building to its release, no pun intended. And this book it was a really cool take on something that's not frequently talked about. So again, it's actual women who have written in very anonymously and shared their internal fantasies. Some of them are very detailed and graphic, and some of them are just very gentle and soft and sweet and just wanting to be seen and heard and loved. It was a really cool compilation. I read it really quickly, and again, it was available at my local library. But if you're interested in that world, I know we talked about that here on the channel with some other cool nonfiction books like Come Together and Come As You Are. This is a really good supplement to those books just to know what other women are maybe thinking about but not talking about, and especially with different cultures and how different cultures and upbringings and factors play into what women feel they can and cannot express openly. It was a really interesting read. I'm happy to share a cozy little novel that I read called The Honey Witch. I've had this for a few months. It's been moving around from my book pile to my desk to my living room, all over the place, and I've been meaning to read it, and I finally sat down. And this Honey Witch book is just so sweet and cozy. It's kind of like a Regency era witchy queer romance book. And it's just sweet and it's cozy and there's, just lovely little elements and good character growth. And if you just want a lovely, snuggly little novel to read on a cozy day with a cup of tea or a cup of coffee and a cat on your lap, The Honey Witch will absolutely solve that for you. So check that one out if you're just looking for something very light, very low impact, and sweet and wholesome. The Honey Witch is right up there. What did you read in November? What are you hoping to read? And how are you doing on your reading goals as we approach the end of the year? Please let me know. Drop a note for me in the comments. I respond to every single one. And as always, if you like this video or found a book that you want to read, give me a thumbs up. And don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. Have a fantastic day.